Well, it's that time of year again when winter's icy grip holds us all. And it's this time in particular that I'm drawn to remember those wonderful passages in the medieval masterpiece Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, when he describes the snowy wastes of winter. Wonderful phrases like, "The snow snitted full snart that snaped the wild," or, "Each hill had a hat, a mythical huge." These are fabulous phrases, and testimony to the genius of the unknown northern poet of 6 centuries ago. Let's go into the warmth now and read some of those and enjoy them once more. Well, it's a lot warmer in here. And let's begin our exploration of the Gawain poet's winter wonderland with this introductory passage when Gawain on his own ventures forth into the land of Logres to find his nemesis. Some while with worms he were us, and with wodwose also, some while with wodwose that woned in the Canaras, both with bulls and bears and boars of the wheel, and etainers that him anilde of the hay fell. Nad he been duty in Dreach, and Drichten had served, doubtless he had been dead, and dreeped full after. For where wroth him not so much that winter was worse, when the cold clear water fro the cloudes shad, and freeze ere it fall micter to the fell earth. Ne'er slain with the sleet he slipped in his irons, more nicters than enough in the naked rockers. There, as clatterand fro the crest, the cold born rainers, and hanged high over his head in hard Isa Ichilus. This just begins Gawain's encounter with winter. Things get worse as the poem progresses, but we're set the scene. He's a man on his own, facing the elements. The rain coming down into the rocks. He sleeps in his irons, in his armour, and the rain, when it lands, it turns into icicles. It's just fabulous. Now, a little further on into the poem, and here we are in Fitt 3, the main part of the poem, when Gawain is challenged in 3 different ways by the Lord and by his lady. And on this instance, the Lord is venturing out into a winter morning in what we believe to be the Staffordshire Roaches, hunting. And the description of that frosty morning, it really is very, very special indeed. Let's hear it now. After mess a morsel he and his men token. Merry what's the morning, his monture he asks. All the hathlers that on horse should held him after were bound busked on her blonkers before the hall yeters. Fairly fair what's the fold, for the force declinged. In red, rudid upon rack, rises the sun, and full clear castes the clouds of the welkin. That, I think, is one of the very special lines in this poem. Imagine that Staffordshire morning, that morning in the peaks, in the Roaches. Frost bedecks the land. It's very early. The sun is gaining its first presence of the day. And as it rises red, it ruddies the rack, the storm clouds, and makes the clouds all red in themselves. And yet all around is quiet where the frost clings to the earth. It's magisterial the way the poet has captured that unique atmosphere of that part of the day. I think for me one of the wonderful passages about winter is in Fitt 4 of the poem, when Sir Gawain wakes ready to undertake his mission, finally to meet with the Green Knight at the Green Chapel. It's a cold winter's morning with the wind whirling around outside and the snow snittering, as the poet says, and settling on the landscape and driving the wildlife into every crack and crevice to escape its snipping ways. And all the while Gawain tries to pretend the day isn't happening. He keeps his eyes firmly shut. But he's awake underneath those locked lids. Let's join him at this difficult and tormenting time. Now, near's the new year, and the nicht passes. The day drives to the deck, as dricht and bid us. But, while the weathers of the world wackned thereout, clouders casting keenly the cold to the earth, with nigh enough of the north the necker to ten. The snow sneeted full snart that snaped the wild. The Wonderland wind whopped from the high, and drove Ushadal full of drifters full great. The lude listened full well that lay in his bed, though he looked his lids, full little he sleepers. That's magnificent, isn't it? Because the contrast between the ferocious winter's weather outside and him snug in his bed, trying not to think of what the day will bring. And the day, of course, promises to bring his own execution at the hands of the Green Knight, and his great big geyserarm, his axe, filed on a filestone 4 foot large it was, as the poet tells us. Just wonderful. And here's a wonderful passage when Gawain and his guide are making their way to the Green Chapel, or trying to find it, and the guide later tells him he'd be a fool to go there. But before he does, the poet prefaces the action with this journey through the snowy wastes and the bubbling streams. Listen to this description. It is just stunning. They boyen be bonkers, their bows I bear. They clomben be cliffes, there clingers the cold. The heaven was uphalt, but ugly thereunder. Mist mooged on the moor, malt on the mountains. Ucha hill had a hat, a mist hackle huge. Brockers, beeled, and breek be bonkers about. Shearer, shatterand on shores, there they down showed. Well a whale what's the way, there they be wood shulden, till it was soon season that the sun rises that tide. They were on a hill full high, the quite snow lay beside. The burn that rode him by bade his master abide. I mean, that's wonderful. So you can get this sensation of them going down gorges with the boiling streams, and then looking up, and there are the hills covered in these mist hackles, this like a dog's hackles on its back as the wind blows them over the crests of the hills. It's just remarkable observation. And now here, let's preface his arrival at the Green Chapel. And again, the poet builds up the tension with the description of the wintry landscape, the weather, and all the while we know Gawain is about to meet his nemesis. Then girders he to Gringolet, and gedders the racke, shovers in be ashore at a shy side. Riders through the rock bonk richt to the dal, and then he waited him about, and wild hit him thought, and sees no sign of reset beside us nowhere, but hey a bonkers and brent upon both halve, and rough knuckled canaras with canorned stones. His skews of the scouts skeined him thought. Then he hoved and withheld his horse at that tide, and oft changed his chair the chapel to seek. He sees none such in no side, and selly him thought, save a little on a lawn low as it were, a bolya bird by a bunk the brim beside. By a force of a flood that firked there, the bone blubbered therein as it boiled had. The connector catches his capel and come to the law, lights down luffly, and at a lind attaches the rein, and hit riches with a rough branch. Then he boyers to the beggar, about it he walkers, debating with himself what it be mekte. It had a hole on the end and on either side, and overgrown with grass, in glowed as I were, and all what's hulked within, no but an old cave, or the crevice of an old crag. He quoth it knocked dame with spell. Way, Lord, quoth the genteel connector, whether this be the green chapel. Here mect about the midnichter, the deal his matinas tell. So he's arrived in the wasteland, at this law, this barrow, like mysterious, how the medieval people might have thought of those ancient burial mounds. What lies within, what's under the ground. And here, this chapel has this nobbut an old cave, has an entrance on either side, so he has to go within. And what is lurking there? Is this the green chapel? Is this the very antithesis of a Christian building? Here the devil might tell his own matins. It's just fantastic. This is the point now where the Green Knight appears. So the scene has been set. He's gone through the snow, gone through all those dangerous rocks and crevices, the bubbling brooks and all of this, and now he's shouting to the Green Knight to come and make this appointment, make this meeting, do his deed, do what he has to do. Well, so he does. Abide, quoth on the bonker above and over his head, and thou shalt have all in haste that I thee hights once. Yet he rushed on that rood wraithly a throw, and with quetting a waff ere he would licht, and sithen he kevers be a crag, and comes of a hole, whirling out of a row with a fell weapon. A Dennis axe, new a dikter, the dint with toyelde, with a boarlick bit bend by the halm, filed in a file 4 foot large. It was no less, by that lace that leamed full bricked, and the gome in the green geared as first, both the leer and the legs, lockers and beard, save that fair on foot he found us on the earth, set the steel to the stone and stalked beside. When he won to the water, there he weighed nold. He hipped over on his axe and orperly striders, brimly broth on a bent that broad what's about on snow. Sir Gawain the connector con meter, he na loot him no thing low. That other said, now, Sir Sweeter, of Stephen Mon may they be true. I love the way the tension builds. You can picture the Green Knight high up on the karst crags of the peaks there in the Staffordshire Roaches. And then he comes down through a hole, because the karst landscape is full of holes where the waters have worn through over the centuries. And then he emerges by the side of the river, and then he hops over. He uses his axe as some kind of pole vaulting device and ends up facing Gawain at the Green Chapel in the snow. And now just a little touch of the snow here, but it serves to purge Gawain of his sins. This is after he has received the blow from the Green Knight, and it's just nicked his neck. The blood falls to the floor. Here the snow symbolises purity, against which Gawain's blood has dropped. He lifters lichtly his loam, and let it down fair with the barb of the bit by the bare neck. Though he hummed heartily, hurt him no more, but snert him on that side that severed the hide. The sharp shrank to the flesh through the sheery grease, that the sheen blood over his shoulders shot to the earth. And when the burn sees the blood blink on the snow, he split forth spenny foot, more than a spear length, hent heartily his helm on his head cast, shot with his shoulders his fair shield under, braided out a brick to sword, and bramely he speakers, never since that he wot's burn of his mother, what he never in this world ways half so blithe. Blind burn of the bird, bead me no more, I have a stroke in this steed without strife hent, and if thou reaches me any more, I readily shall quit and yield yeadily again, and thereto ye tryst and foe. But on stroke hear me fathers, the covenant shop richter so, fettled in Arthur's hallers, and therefore hendy now who? He's paid his penance. He's taken the nick to the neck. He's suddenly rushed forth, full of life, all his woes of his journey, his fears of beheading, gone away. I hope you've enjoyed this trip into the wintry wonderland of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. The poet really was a genius in the way he described that landscape, but also the way at the end in which the snow comes to symbolise purity, its whiteness soft on the landscape, as Gawain himself is purged of his sins, his arrogance, his pride by the Green Knight. If you'd like to buy a copy of my translation of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, it's available through all good bookshops and online, or through my own website, www.mythicalbritain.co.uk, where I will sign and dedicate your copy for you or for a loved one. You can also buy my translation of Sir Gawain's near contemporary, the alliterative Mort Arthur, which was written towards the end of the 14th century. It's a different type of romance to Gawain, but no less powerful for all its wonderful use of the English language and its alliteration. And if you wish, you can also be a patron of my forthcoming translation of the 14th century alliterative masterpiece William of Palerne, also known as The Romance of William and the Werewolf. You can do all of this on my website, and you can also buy, if you wish, original lino cut prints produced by me on a 19th century Albion press in Cambridgeshire. And you can also buy greetings cards like the one behind me just here. There's a wide range for Christmas and all other occasions there. The poems of the alliterative revival of the 14th century are a very special moment in the history of English literature. I enjoy reading them, I enjoy translating them, but most of all, I hope that you enjoy hearing them.
Each hill had a hat, a mystical huge.